And it looks like it's not restarting. I can see everybody in the chat, but there is no video apparently. Not sure what to do about that. There it's coming back apparently, according to everybody in the chat stream. Thank goodness they hang in there. You guys are the best. You guys can see video again. Huzzah. Wow. We sure need to figure out, I don't know if it's Twitch or us, or if you guys watch other Twitches, maybe you have similar problems, or maybe it's just us. We're going to have to figure this out for sure. I did see one question prior to us having this trouble, and that question was a rough estimate as to when 1.1 would be coming out. Looks like that's going to be early June.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Right. Now, what is going to be in 1.1? Can you tell us, Paul?
Well, the primary thing that we're working on, and actually is kind of pushing other things, because there's all kinds of little usability things that people ask for that we want to do. But the main thing we're focused on is getting the Steam Workshop stuff working. So, which is proving to be a little more challenging than we had hoped, but just because like some changes have been made in the data system, and so we're working on that. And so yeah, in 1.1 you'll be able to upload and download ships and factions from Steam Workshop, and then once that's working, we'll expand into other things. I want to be able to do ship classes and ship styles and things like that as well.
So Steam Workshop is coming in the 1.1?
Yes.
Excellent.
And then as well as just a ton of little enhancements and AI improvements and balancing issues. I've already made a bunch of changes to balancing issues that aren't in 1.02 because we don't want to change anything while things are still in flux.
All right. Jono LR is asking, when can we expect the ship designer to get another pass?
Probably not until 1.3 because we have a lot of oh man, are you kidding me? I'm sorry, I'm tired of being killed by pirates. I'm not going to get a single planet here. Yeah, so probably not till about 1.3, certainly by the first expansion. But we'll keep tweaking it, but we're not going to do a major overhaul or major update probably until maybe not even until the expansion.
Mojobia is wondering, can a console... Oh, it just scrolled off the screen. Sorry, everybody. Let me find it again, of course. Oh. Well, I think I lost it. Sorry, Mojobia, if you can go ahead and repost that. I'm having trouble finding it. Jacob 46719 asked, is it possible to mod in additional pages of tech trees?
Pages, as in categories like this 1, 2, 3, 4. That I think is possible, but there'd be no user interface for it, so you would run into a problem. Data-wise, technically, actually, it's possible, but yeah, you wouldn't. Without the screen code, you'd never be able to have more than 4. You can do as many leaves and as many branches in here as you want, though. As long as you have a root, then you could have this turn this into 300 text each. So there's really no limitation there.
All right. There's an awful lot of text, but I was playing an insane-sized galaxy, and I managed to make it to the end of every single tech tree.
You did?
Yes, I did.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm really proud of myself.
We need to scale. What we want to do, actually, and this is probably going to be in 1.2, is we're going to make it so tech cost scales with the number of planets. That way, because the problem is when you have, how many planets did you have on your insane size map?
A lot. but I didn't. I mean, there was a lot. I set all my settings to random, and it looked like, I don't know if it was abundant, if it came out as abundant, but there was a lot of planets.
Yeah, I'm screwed in this game, by the way. I'm pretty much dead.
All right. Mojobie asked, can a console command to trigger an event be added? It would be extremely helpful for modding.
I'm sure it could. I wouldn't know exactly how to do it myself, but it's not a bad idea. Actually, it would be helpful for me to. I wouldn't be surprised if the coders already have such a thing. What I always end up doing, if I need to make sure an event works, is you just go to the XML and turn the likelihood of everything but the one you want to 0, and then you'll only get the one you want. So that's one workaround to be able to test events.
Go for Celerity asked, will 1.1 finally center the camera on ships during movement?
Will 1.1 finally center the camera on ships during movement? I'm not quite sure what he's asking for. So you want the camera to jump to
the selected ship?
To the selected ship when it moves?
Let's see.
So like as this ship moves, would my camera follow it? Is that what they're wanting?
We'll see if he or she responds.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that maybe being an option, but it also, one of the reasons we try not to override the camera whenever possible is because it's really annoying, and on a big map you can get lost.
Yeah, I get lost.
Yeah, like
now.
if you wormhole jump to the other side of the galaxy or whatever, you're like, oh, okay, now where was I?
Right,
and it gets very confusing. So I wouldn't, if I'm not, I need to know clearer what he's asking for.
Right,
I'm not opposed to the idea, but it would definitely have to be an optional thing.
Wi-Fi Die said, please don't do that. I hated it in Civ 5.
Yeah.
So
that's exactly the point. Everybody has different, preferences for movement, with the old edge scroll drag debate. But yeah, we try not to override the camera if at all possible, because it can get very annoying to the poor user.
Dritz5 asked if the background of the ship designer can be changed because dark colored ships are really hard to see.
The ship designer, yes. Well, yes, you can essentially just go in. Well, you would have to mod the screen, which is actually really trivial to do.
Mm-hmm.
You just go into the screen XML for the ship designer. He's probably talking about the actual design here. So this black background is just like a little black thing, and the lines are a separate image, and you can literally, the easiest thing to do, honestly, would be to grab this line image in the Screen Atlas, in the screens folder, and turn it into something else. You could literally turn it into a solid white wall or whatever, or a gray wall, and then the screen would be gray. So yes, you could easily mod it. There's no current way to change that. I actually would like to do that, and I'd also like to make it so that this is a skybox by default instead of a black.
Ah, okay, yeah. So Hinforda asked, are black holes going to have a major role or some specific mechanics in the game eventually?
Well, their main role right now is to be where antimatter is found, as you can see here, and to be a block, to essentially be a space mountain. We originally were going to have them suck ships in and kill them, but that actually turns out to be really annoying.
Yeah, I bet.
And less fun than you.
Yeah.
Because then you just never go near them. They are also part of one of my in one of the expansions. I want to have hypergates, and hypergates will have to be built on the event horizon of a black hole. So, like, say I built a hypergate here, I'd actually have to build it on this antimatter resource or something, and then I could build another hypergate. Wow, is there only one black hole on here? Brad nerfed the black hole likelihood. I'm going to have to pump that back up a little bit. And then I could essentially build another hypergate on any other black hole.
And would it then be travel between those two?
You would travel between them.
I see. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, it's Brad hates it because it's an AI nightmare.
Oh.
Any path finding over through something like that is a AI nightmare. But I think we can find a way to do it.
All right. So, Creature of Existence asked, diplomacy. So, this is, I'm not sure this is a question, but it's pretty long. So bear with me. Diplomacy is a bit one sided since the AI won't reject things like a player will do. And when you trade like a tech or some resources, you will always get this fine response. Always saying yes, meaning the AI needed to think a bit before trading things and actually reject the trade offers made by players.
Well, the AI generally will not reject something unless it's not a good deal. So, but yeah, we could definitely. I mean, that's one of those things where we're always polishing the AI. We might make it so that if the character doesn't, I mean, okay, let me rephrase that. The AI will actually reject things. Like if the AI doesn't like you, right? Everything is worthless to him that you're offering him. But at some point, you're going to throw enough stuff on the table where he's going to go, okay. So that's the difference is that you don't see that as a human. Like if it's me and you playing and you're like, well, I'm not going to take a trade with him. He's a jerk. And then you're like, well, hey, and I go, here's all my planets. And you're going to go, well, okay, he's a jerk, but I'll take it. And essentially that's what's happening.
Right.
That is not to say we can't nuance that more, and we will keep working on it.
Thaddeus Farron asked, there are two music tracks, one named GC3 menu, GC3_menu, and the other named GC3_menu.5. What's the second one for?
I have no idea. I do not know the names of the music. And honestly, I will admit, I don't pay too much. Brad is the music Nazi. He's the one who really cares.
He's not a Nazi, Paul.
I'm sorry. He's the music czar.
Oh, thank you.
And he will come in and go, why is it, Ray and Brian tend to pay attention to music. Colin does all the code for the music. I essentially just go, it needs to sound good. It needs to sound good. And then I only notice when things sound bad. So
right.
I'm like a director that way.
Right.
So I just go, why isn't that good? And but I don't know the names of the tracks.
It's there for your pleasure.
Yes.
I don't know what the difference is.
One is probably, hey, how do you like? It's probably here's two options for the music.
Right.
And we were like, oh, we like both of those, so we just kept them both, and they're probably used somewhere. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head though where.
So Sailor is wondering, when will you have a Stardock versus community multiplayer game dev stream?
That's actually kind of a cool idea. I don't know. I mean, it's funny because, I've been so talking about, I can't wait till we're done. I can relax. And as Kristen can testify, I haven't got to relax yet.
Nope.
So we're, doing the patches and we're, there's at the minute the game is in the public, people find crazy things. So we have a lot of things that we're having to address. So that's we just don't have the time, honestly. But I do like the idea a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Thaddeus Farron, regarding that music question he said they're identical except for the name.
Okay.
Chances are they're identical. And
chances are
it was perhaps an oversight, or maybe there is some reason that it's in there that we can't.
Is a lot of
we can't know right
there
now.
are a lot of redundant files and such in the games folder, and mostly we leave a lot of those things there because removing a file can sometimes, because the way Steam works, not Steam works, but the way Steam works, when you install a game, it installs the files, but it never deletes them. So if we delete something, so there's a lot of assets that were maybe used in
beta
in beta 1 that are no longer used, that may be in your folder, or that we are afraid of removing because it'll cause some sort of assert or crash or something. And we're less concerned about, that's 3 megabytes or 30 megabytes that are being wasted because nowadays everybody has so much memory. I mean, not memory, but hard drive space. So that is why you'll find some weird redundant files in there still. And if you look carefully, a picture of my dog.
Yes, our Maggie. Well, it's mostly Paul's Maggie, though.
Yeah.
Larsenix was wondering regarding the music, when can we easily add our own music?
Honestly, I don't know much about the way the music works. I'm assuming there's a bunch of XML that points to all of that. So you could probably do it now. It has to be in the right format, but I don't think it's a non-public format. I'm sadly not really the right person to ask. Sorry. But
I'll stop asking you
I think
music
you could
questions.
already mod in new music.
Okay. Dvorak is wondering if Maggie is some sort of Easter egg.
She is not purposely an Easter egg,
Not purposely.
but she is there. As a matter of fact, Derek comes in. Did you know you say there's 100,000 people out there with a picture of your dog? And I'm like, what?
Oh, whoops.
Yeah. And she was in. The reason she was there is I was testing create custom faction, and I put this picture in there because I wanted people to be able to put in any picture and have it, look good. And so I just grabbed this picture of Maggie and stuck her in there, and then I never deleted the file, and the rest is history.
Shogo XT said, "What is the situation on the planet count in 1.02? Also, larger maps on multiplayer."
Okay, well, what happened was Brad was there was some issues with performance and stuff, and Brad was like put in a code-based version that would limit the max number of planets, and he accidentally put too small a number in.
Mm-hmm.
And also he didn't account for some other settings. So the result was if you had a big enough map, you would end up getting capped at like 200 planets. And because the way they're distributed, it wasn't necessarily very even. You'd end up with one star system with 3 planets and then 50 star systems with 1 or none. So we actually fixed all that and changed it. Now the max number of planets is based on the map size, which is what it was before. We just have an additional number that makes sure. I also went through all the star systems and changed them to where nowadays, like currently the way it worked was if a star system had 3 planets, the idea is, okay, here's 3 planets. And then there's a X% chance that each of those will be habitable. What we really wanted was there's, 50% of the planets in the galaxy should be habitable, or 40% or whatever. And on occasional, it's like 20%. So what ended up happening though was everything at a 50%, which anyone who can tell you how these things work can tell you that is not, I just lost.
Whoa.
Because I wasn't paying attention. So what would happen is you could end up with way more planets than the minimum or way less. So we wanted to have some like top and bottom boundaries. So we did that, and I just rebalanced all that, and that will be in the next update to 1.02, and I think it should address most everybody's concerns. The only thing is if you were one of those people who was really exploiting the fact that that we were giving too many planets on abundant, kind of by accident because the way math works, you might be a little disappointed because there will be less, but it's not going to be anything like what is in 1.01 where people.
As I mentioned, I'm playing on that insane sized map, and I set my settings to random, and I think I got abundant planets, and it's too much. Yeah. It is too much. I actually got to the point where I was like, when I colonized a planet, I would just randomly click on things to fill up the tiles because I couldn't deal with it anymore.
Yeah. No, right now, like if you play on an insane map on scattered, which is the most evenly distributed, and you have everything on an abundant, there'll be about 600 or so habitable planets. Whereas in the old build, you could get as many as 1,000.
Okay.
And that just isn't fun. I mean, literally, I was playing on Insane, and I was in a cluster, kind of like this, right? Mm-hmm. I was in a cluster about this big, maybe 2 of these combined, and I had like 40 planets.
Right.
And that's just not fun. Whereas,
and I've left a lot of planets and so has everybody else. I'm playing with everybody except the Drengen because I don't like the Drengen. And there's just a million planets. Well, I'm over-exaggerating, obviously. But there's a lot of planets just
I have a lot
not inhabited.
Yeah. So here you can do colonize all. And that will essentially should, in theory, although actually that's not true. That's not counting all of the things already taken by people. So I colonized all on this. What is this? A medium or small? And I got 17 planets, and this is on occasional, and that's not including the 14 other races that have planets or whatever, however many races are here. So there's probably 30 planets, 30 habitable planets, on this map, on this medium map, with everything on occasional. So, yeah. So that was it was partially an attempt to fix an issue that backfired. And we took the time to fix it right, and I think everybody will be happy with it. And we'll tweak it if people feel like it's still too little. Now we have the handles to kind of bump it back up. But I was more concerned about the fact that these large maps, you would just end up with a billion planets. You should have a different gameplay experience on an insane map. You shouldn't. Each little cluster shouldn't feel like you're playing an entire galaxy. It should feel like you're playing maybe half a galaxy, and then you got to go kill the other cluster. And so it's still an immense experience. We just don't want it to become nothing but busy work.
A couple of questions for you. One, Thaddeus Farron is wondering when more campaign levels will come out.
Well, I have a bunch of scenarios actually that I would like to do, and I can't guarantee you when any of those will come out. The campaign itself, the main story campaign, will not really continue until Crusade, and it will be a lot beefier because it's gonna be more essentially. The one in Galactic 3 is kind of a prelude to the Crusade, which is the next one. So I want to do a much more elaborate campaign. We're going to add some more code and flexibility so that we can do something a little fancier for Crusade. That said, though, I have a scenario for the Return of the Snathi that we'll be in, and we might be putting out some custom maps that are little mini scenarios that are like, you're the Dredgen, you start here. You're the Terrans and the Dredgen start here. They both start with 5 colony ships and nothing else. And then you have to win through. Ascension. Or I mean, we'll come up with little rules and have essentially what in Galactic 2 we call tournaments.
I saw an interesting, to me, debate, we'll call it, on the forums at one point, which was. Somebody was asking about the campaign, and other people were saying 4X games shouldn't have campaigns. It's about strategy, and it's not about being told a story. And I thought it was sort of an interesting take on.
Yeah, that is odd because we either get yelled at for not having a big enough campaign, or
having
people just don't care about it at all.
Yeah.
So I prefer to. I mean, we want to have a campaign. We like having a campaign, but it is. Secondary. It is without a doubt secondary to the sandbox game.
Dvorak asked, is there an eventual plan to give the non-habitable planets a purpose in the future? Maybe mining resources from them or something?
Maybe, but we already kind of that's really what Thulium and Prometheon are supposed to be. And I know, and the problem is we had to make them look different so that you notice them.
Right.
And so then people don't really think of them as planets. So it's something that's considered. We are gonna bring back asteroid mining at some point. So I could see maybe coming up with a planetary mining thing, but it's really just a question of finding fun things to do with them. We don't want to. I mean, think about it. This map may have 32, habitable worlds, but it probably has 100.
Non-habitable.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to be managing those? We have to kind of figure out how to.
I don't, but Goth then asked, visually speaking, what is your favorite faction?
Visually?
Yeah.
Oh.
I can tell you, I always play as the Altarians just because I like them.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I really like the. As far as ship design. This is a classic problem we have in Galactic development. We always design the Terrans first because they're the ones that everybody plays.
By far,
the
our players play the Terrans.
Yeah. So,
more often.
But we but the problem is we have to design them first. But then we learn all kinds of stuff as we go forward, and then designs get better and better. So like the the Thalion and the Iconian ships are both really neat looking, and they can be a little more, organic and fun looking. So I don't know. I think that actually, like, surface wise, I think I really like these.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I really like the Iconian ships. They're a little they might be a little over the top organic, so I don't know. It's between them and the Thalion probably are my favorite. I love the Thalion subsurface. The surface of it looks very. Are they dead already? Are they out here somewhere? Oh, there they are over there. Let's see. Yeah, so if you look at that, I love this maybe the Thalion. I don't know. That's
Paul loves them all.
Debated.
He loves all his children.
Yeah. Well, ironically, I didn't get to design any of these.
Yes.
So
well, yeah.
We can't win them all.
No.
They are also probably the highest polygon race.
Yeah.
Because they came later and we kind of knew what we could do.
Thaddeus Farron asked, is Bink V1 going to be compatible in 1.1 or will that come later?
That will not be in 1.1. And matter of fact, we're looking into that. I'm actually trying to find a open source format we can use or at least also support. The problem is the alpha channels. The alpha channels of when you go in here, like this is actually 2 layers, as anybody who's built a custom race knows. So you can't do that with Bink 1, or at least not efficient, not easily. So what we might do is make it so there's like an open source thing that doesn't support alpha, so you'd really only ever see your foreground. But I know a lot of people who are modding, that's all they care about. So we'll look into it. I have a dream of being able to just throw a freaking iPhone video in there, but I don't know if that's actually realistic.
All right. Sealor asked, why do custom races playing on a Thalen homeworld only start with a class 15 planet?
Doesn't the Thalen also only start with a...
Don't know. I don't know.
I believe the Thalen homeworld is a class 15 planet, and that would be why. But I could be wrong. Maybe if they aren't, then something weird is happening. Because you should be the same. That's the star systems don't change depending on who's playing them. There should be no difference. I guess I'd need more information to be able to answer that fully.
The Black Sheep asked, how does upgrade to latest design work? My shipyard always selects the wrong ship.
In the shipyard, it selects. Well, I guess the problem is what upgrade to latest design does is essentially if you have a Mark 1, Mark 2, Mark 3, it will take the next automatic. It'll take Mark 4. Like I'm building Mark 1, I'm building Prospector Mark 1 or whatever, and the Mark 7 comes out. I would then start. I could hit upgrade, and it would turn that into a Mark 7 before I built it. So maybe what he wants is to re-specify what that ship is, in which case you just want to add a new ship to the queue. This really just meant to just kind of some people would complain that like I designed this a million years ago and or I started this building and by the time it got there I had a better version. We wanted people to have the ability to upgrade it to the newer version. So as a matter of fact here, well, I can't do that here because it's already halfway built.
Big Rectangle asked, can you tell us anything about the first DLC?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Right now we're working on map stuff. Mostly I'm still testing things, so we don't want to fully announce it yet because we want to see how much we can put in. really our biggest concern at the moment is we're putting all of our thought into the Steam Workshop stuff. So the first DLC is not our highest priority at the moment.
Mm-hmm. So regarding that ship upgrading question, Black Sheep said, I upgraded a Mark 1 to a Mark 2, but it selected a totally different ship.
Well, that's weird. All I can think of is maybe the Mark II was a custom ship that he made, and it wouldn't know to do it. And I think it only works on things that are being generated from blueprints. So we should probably make sure that we'll look into that. I don't know if we could even make it know, because it doesn't know. Like, you design a Mark II, you call something a Mark II, unless it was generated from the blueprint, it doesn't know that it's the same class of ship. So we'd have to look into that.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of questions in the chat here. The CW asked, any chance you will take a look at the score system? I won a small galaxy against all AI plus 2 minor on Godlike in 138 turns, and my score was 10.
That definitely does not sound right. Yes, we will be looking into that. Really?
And now he's thinking.
Was it an influence victory or something, or an ascension victory, or, I mean, which it still shouldn't be 10. I'm just curious if there are any extenuating circumstances. Yeah, we're going to probably rebalance the way the score is done. I know, honestly, it's just not granular enough at this point. The numbers are too low, so we'll be tweaking that.
Blaze of Glory asked, how about a map option for average distance between stars?
That's actually really hard to do and keep any sort of randomness. Because essentially what ends up happening in the placement algorithm is it goes, am I far enough away? And then depending on the likelihood, it's like, oh, I am. Okay, now. And then you do it again, and you end up with a very regular looking galaxy. What you really want for that is if what you want is like a longer distance between stars, you want to do less stars and but you want them to be even, put them on even with less stars. You can do less stars with abundant planets, and you'll end up with a more spread out galaxy, but almost as many worlds. And then you can kind of address that. It's one of those things where we'll always be tweaking those settings, but that particular setting would probably actually end up being kind of a problem. So I don't know if we'll have anything like that.
Somebody also asked, and it scrolled off the screen, so I don't have their name. I'm sorry. But they asked if you can put when you're creating a map, can you put 2 things on one tile?
No.
Okay.
Oh, wait. When you're creating a map?
Yes.
No. Anything at any point when you make a map, if you put 2 things on a tile, if they are owned by the same person, they'll become a fleet.
Okay.
If it's a planet and a ship, the ship will get stationed. If it's a planet and a starbase, the starbase will get stationed.
Okay.
If it's a ship and a starbase. If it's 2 people, it just won't let you do it. If it's you'd essentially are fighting. So yeah, no, it behaves the same way the main game works.
Creature of Existence asked, why is there so little amount of extreme planets that are tier 1? And could we get a raise of those planets since it's 3 different planets? And I would have liked to see a lot of those planet types since they are too small in number to actually go for extreme colonies.
Huh. I will check on that. I actually find that there's plenty of extreme worlds. You
know, on my insane map with my abundant, I hardly had any extreme worlds.
Really? Maybe at some point the settings got... Well, it is a random thing.
Sure.
Maybe some of the settings got tweaked. Make sure if you want extreme worlds, set extreme worlds to abundant, and that will help a lot.
There you go.
But yeah, I'll look into it and make sure that it's working fine.
Dvorak asked, any insight into exactly what the frequencies mean, star frequency, planet frequency, habitable planets, etc., in terms of percentages?
Well, they're not exactly a percentage. Essentially, what happens is every galaxy has what's called the base number. Every size of galaxy is a base number. So let's say, as a matter of fact, we were just tweaking these. Say the base on an insane galaxy is 1,200. Okay, so it's just call it 1,200. Now, if I then and then all of the settings on that, you can actually go in and there's actually a thing called game settings defs.xml, and you can see them in there. And essentially, what it is it'll say stars, and like if it's on abundant, it might be stars equals 1.0, which means 1,200, right? So that means there'd be 1,200 stars on this planet. It could also be, you could also have things like planets might be 2.0, which means 2,400 maximum planets on abundant. And then like habitable planets might be 0.4, which would mean 800 or 400 or whatever. So you set 480 or 600, or so you end up with. So essentially, everything is based on that base number, and then depending on the settings of those things. So abundant is like, for example, like with stars, abundant is I think 1.0.
Something just blew up there.
With rare, abundant is with rare, like it's like 0.1 of base. So that's how we control all of those values. So hopefully that makes a little sense. There's a couple things that override that. There's things like minimum numbers of black holes and max numbers of things, max numbers of habitable planets. But otherwise, everything is based on the base number. And you essentially go in there to that percentage. If you want more nebulas on abundant, you can go in there and say, abundant nebulas actually is now 100. That means there's going to be 1,200 or so nebulas on your map. There's still some randomness because as the planet is placed, you might run out of space. You might run out of, it'll force other things together. So those numbers are kind of hard to tweak, but we're always kind of tweaking them. Like I said, I just did a major pass on all that just yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Blaze of Glory was wondering why extreme worlds are so large. There never seems to be one below a 10 or 11.
Well, that's because we do that on purpose, because we want them to be worth it to get, and also because they're kind of a later game thing. You don't want to be going out there and getting 4s and 5s,
True.
150 turns in. As a matter of fact, the radiation ones, the radiation and the toxic ones are like 16s to 20s or something like that.
Mm-hmm. I noticed that.
Yeah, so we want them to be really worth it.
Yes.
That is why they are high like that.
Yes.
There is still a range. They're not like a fixed set, but they tend to be relatively good planets.
Jacob 46719 said, "Is there a way to create multiple pages of planet tiles?"
Multiple pages of planet tiles? Oh, per planet? No. I mean, I guess I don't know what they're asking, but I'm going to assume no. Here, let's look at a planet and see what they're... So I am assuming he means, like, can I have multiple... yeah, no. Oh, my goodness. I got to stop.
Update. That's what happened.
No, it's because I was soaking. I always soak because it's so much easier than actually play. Because when I play, I don't pay attention to the questions.
Right, I get you.
Oh wait, there is an update. They must have literally just updated
the opt-in beta.
I shouldn't have said yes. But oh well.
Well,
ask a question. I don't want to.
Yes, that's all right. Cyclonus wondered, does habitable planet setting have an effect on all planet spawns? Trying to play a map with only extreme planets by setting habitable planets to rare, you end up with very, very few planets with mostly extreme planets. So that's somebody who was the person who was looking for those extreme planets.
Essentially what is happening is, and I will have to confirm this, but the way I originally designed it is... There is the base number. Let's say just for ease of math, say the base number is 1,000, and the habitable planets is 0.5. That means there's the planet count is 0.5, right? or is 2.0. Let's say it's 2.0. So now there's 2,000 planets. And then the habitable planets is 0.5. That means that of those 2,000 planets, 500 of them are habitable. And then say the extreme planets is set to 0.5. That means of those 200, what did I say? 500 planets? 500 habitable
I
planets.
stopped listening.
250 of those habitable planets will be extreme. Does
Wow.
that make sense?
Yeah.
So essentially, they're percentages of each other. It's like one is how many planets. The next question is how many of those are habitable, and the next question is how many of those habitable planets are extreme. And that is how those settings work.
Wow. I fell asleep halfway through. Could you repeat that? I'm kidding.
You had to like spell check that stuff like 3 years ago. You should have it all memorized.
From 3 years ago.
2 years ago.
I've slept since then. I can't even remember what I did this morning. All right. The CW asked, the music level controls the sound level of the USIC. The cutscenes and the battles.
Yes.
You said you were going to think about the possibility of splitting control. Any progress on
we
that?
want to split up the cutscenes because the problem is the music is baked into the Bink, so therefore it's run through a separate system, and we will probably be putting. Matter of fact, I thought that was already on the list, but it will probably show up in 1.1 or 1.2. We'll have a separate volume for music. So it's SX. Yeah, there should probably be a cutscene volume as well. Hopefully that answers your question.
Creature of Existence asked, Thalen's tech tree is currently too powerful and they get a building with bonus diplomacy besides the embassy, even when they aren't a diplomacy-focused race.
I'm not quite sure which one they're referring to. Oh, I'm not Thalen. Let's find out. Let's exit and become Thalen. They get a building with diplomacy, even if as long as they get the building. Then
they get a building bonus. Let me see what he said exactly. Building with bonus diplomacy. I don't know if that was a mistake or they get a building with bonus to diplomacy besides the embassy.
Oh.
Even when they aren't a diplomacy-focused race.
Well, yeah.
There's no question there. It's just
yeah. So Xeno are probably in here. Probably in Xeno anthropology. That's probably what he's referring to. Yeah, diplomacy bonus +1. Yeah, no, that's on purpose. That is just because if they're not a diplomacy focused race, we want you to be able to be diplomatic. So essentially the idea behind this is that the Thalen let's see, outreach and boost the relations of other races, helps spawn your influence. The Thalen essentially have this little, these are meant to kind of be, oh, hey, look at that. Bug, who made this piece of crap?
Yep.
Why are these square? Is that a rendering bug? Oh, I better check on that. It's funny. It shouldn't allow that to happen. Anyways, so these are meant to be kind of almost like they are. So historically, the Thalen are diplomatic to some degree, and that they're here to convince everybody that the Terrans are bastards. So, and they have this knowledge of the future that they use to essentially sway people, and that is kind of the essence behind the Xeno Anthropology Center. So,
Gotcha.
But that is the only, I think that. Oh, this one also gives a diplomacy bonus. Yeah, that's pretty beefy. I don't know if that's overpowered. That's a debatable question. So, but it might need to be balanced a little bit. I'll look into it. I want to know what's going on there.
All right. I'm trying to pick out some good questions here. Sailor asked,
Oh, look, this is the same thing.
can we get a control to toggle ship movement Main map. Oop, it's scrolling up. Hold on. Main map battles on off. Example, right now you see the path the ship takes, and then it battles the other fleet starbase for 10 seconds. It goes boom, and we have to wait during that time. I'm looking for a toggle to switch those extra features off so it just goes boom and continues.
That's a good idea. It's not currently on any list, but I like the idea.
Mohobi asked, will custom victory and defeat screens be possible in the future, i.e. based on race type? It would be great for modding.
It is already possible, I believe. I would have to double check because we do have custom conquest victory per race, and I think right now if you're a custom race, you always get like the Terran one, but yeah, there's nothing to stop you, I believe, from just adding that for at least for conquest victory. Maybe some of the other ones aren't hooked up, but it's something that as we support more and more modding, we might be able to do. Yeah.
All right. Sailor asked, will you ever implement an endless tech tree?
Yeah, probably. In that what we will probably end up doing is if you turn off tech victory and you want to be able to just keep getting smaller bonuses, kind of like we had in FE or like we had in Twilight, we will probably end up doing that at one point. Right now, we don't want to just default to something like that until we feel we've got the actual expense of techs a little more balanced. And like I said, we're gonna add a modifier per habitable planet as well.
Oh. Les Soul asks, if you played the first Galciv and missed the other, will you find it hard to get into Galciv 3? Is there some history that you may have missed?
No, not really. Everything is pretty much covered. If you played Galciv 1 is what he's saying, and he didn't play Galciv 2?
Yeah, sounds like that.
Oh, no, you'll be fine. Honestly, the story is fun for the people who care, but really, every sandbox game is its own story, so you don't really need to worry about that. Essentially, the moral of the story is Terrans gave hyperdrive away, and now and started expanding the galaxy, and now everybody has it and are trying to kill each other. That's the moral of the story. But there's a lot of you will definitely get more from the game as you kind of learn the lore and everything of that. Just things will be a little more entertaining. But really, we like to think that the story is your own each time, anyways.
The Black Sheep asked how long the stream is today, and it's only an hour, so we only have about 3 minutes left. But there's one interesting question from Spriteny I wanted to ask. Have you ever, in your early development stages, or perhaps when thinking about the future, considered going from the flat Galaxy tabletop style to a true 3D Galaxy system with all the obvious and horrible complications this entails?
Oh, yeah, we've considered everything. And I actually have an idea. I have some ideas for Galciv 4. I doubt if we will ever go to a full 3D, because really if you go full 3D, you really end up having to go to like a hypergate kind of system, and that's not really what Galciv is about. We don't want it just to become like a Sins thing where you're just going from star system to star system, and you're only ever seeing a tactical view of the real galaxy. But we'll keep pushing that. I have some. I don't know if I will personally be doing Galciv 4, but I have a lot of ideas on how we could kind of break out to do some crazier things.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Larsenex asked, please add more flavor text via late night margarita sessions. And I say that's a mandate. We have to do that.
The problem is that a lot of the flavor text was being done by Chris Buckles, and he actually is a writer and he writes stuff.
He's funny.
Whereas we just tend to,
we just make crap.
And also, as anyone who's read the forums will know, I am horrible at spelling, and a lot of my typos tend to make it into the game somehow, despite all of the checking I do.
Oh, good times.
Dyslexic game designers unite.
Or untie.
Untie. What? That's...
All right.
All right. Now that my wife just burned me, we can...
Well, I think that's about everything we have. It looks like there's an awful lot more questions here. Everybody
so
is
here
still very
Thalia
interested.
is 16. So it
Okay.
looks like they're always just a 16. But it's a 16 because it has no secondary planet.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
I
that's
see.
why the Yor is also Iconia is also a 16 because it has no secondary planet.
Okay.
So yes,
All right.
I guess we're done.
I go. Well, thanks everybody for coming to spend this time with us. You guys really are hardcore. I appreciate that. If you want to help us out a little bit more, you can certainly go to gamepedia.com. That's where we keep the Galciv 3 wiki, and you can add things on, especially that long equation that Paul trotted out regarding planets and how it all works.
Totally obvious.
It's totally obvious. So you can certainly add on to that. And, if you like the game, tell all your friends by Facebook or Twitter or your social media platform of choice. If you don't like the game, tell your enemies. And I think that's everything that we have for today. We look forward to seeing you next week. Thanks for joining us.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.